Good morning, dear students of class 8. Welcome to online class from LPM Public School, Gola Bazaar, Gorakhpur. Student, first of all, I am sorry for my disturbance in the previous video. The recorder has fallen down and few disturbances came in my previous video. So, from where the disturbances came, from there I am starting today. That is, the topic was corrosion from chapter Material, Metals and Non-Metals. Chapter 4. So student, the chapter which was under process was chapter 4, Material, Metals and Non-Metals. Under it, in my previous video, I have explained about the corrosion. My topic was about corrosion. What is corrosion? The greeny layer that appears on a copper metal is called corrosion. Student, when copper comes in contact with water, oxygen of the atmosphere as well as carbon dioxide, it forms, a student, copper hydroxide plus copper carbonate. So student, this together is called the corrosion. Means there is a chemical reaction took place between the copper, water, oxygen and hydrogen of the atmosphere. Oxygen and carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. When there is a chemical reaction took place, copper hydroxide and copper carbonate formed. This together is called the rust corrosion in the copper, that is green layer. Due to this chemical event, the green layer forms on the copper articles. So student, this is a type of loss of copper metal. Next, student, I am going to speak about the rusting. Dear student, corrosion is in case of the copper, whereas rusting word is used in case of the metal iron. Every year, huge amount of rupee money is invested in changing the iron articles to keep it safe and for long lasting. The iron bridges, the iron made railway tracks, every year they are changed because of the rusting, and there is a loss of money in doing so. So what is rusting? First let you know. Rust means the reddish brown layer formed on an iron metal when exposed in moist air. So dear student, what is rust? That reddish brown powdery substance that appears on the surface of the iron object is called rust. And the method of appearing this reddish brown layer, that is a hydrated oxide of that metal, iron metal, is called the rust, and this method is called the rusting. So in that case, student, when iron means Fe, when get reacted with the H2O and O2, it forms ferrous oxide It is also known as student hydrated ferrous oxide, which we call in common name rust. So I hope so student you have better understood what is rust and what is the meaning of rusting. Rust means the reddish brown substance layer, that ordinary layer is formed on the iron object which is thrown outside in open, where moist air has came in contact with that iron. That is when ferrous is iron, when it come in contact with the water along with oxygen, it forms ferrous oxide, which is called the rust. That is hydrated ferrous oxide. So student, this causes the loss of iron object materials. And next to it, I am going to explain about the preventive method to stop the iron from being rusty. What is that? Listen carefully, student. Dear student, preventive method is the method by which we could stop the iron object from being rusted, and we could save a lot of money every year by doing this. What is this? These preventive methods? So student, preventive method, prevention. So for prevention, there are various methods. First of all, you can do paint to that object. You can apply oil or grease on that object. You can also do plastic coating on that object. You can also do galvanizing on that object, and you can also do alloying. So galvanizing is a method of applying a thin layer on the upper surface of the iron object, so that the iron object would not come in direct contact with the moist air and it would stop rusting. In case of painting also, if you will do painting to an iron object, the upper layer of the iron is now a paint which keep away the moist air in coming in contact with the direct iron. Same way iron and plastic, these all forms a protective layer. Suppose this is an iron object student, it will form a protective layer surrounding it, and when the moist air touch, it doesn't do any reactions because it can't able to touch the iron, because iron is inside, and plastic coating or oiling or greasing or galvanizing or alloying, whatever the methods I have suggested here, if you apply these methods, we can save this iron from being rusted. Pause. Now student, further I have already explained about the reactions of a metal. When it comes in contact with oxygen, it forms metal oxide, which is basic in nature. But now I am going to explain the topic of the non-metal. What happens when non-metal comes in contact with oxygen? It most probably forms non-metallic oxide, there is no doubt. Oxide. But student, one thing I want to say, this non-metallic oxide is acidic in nature. I have already discussed that when a metal reacts with oxygen, form the metal oxide, and the nature of that metallic oxide is basic. And when a non-metal reacts with oxygen, it forms non-metallic oxide, and it is acidic in nature. That means when you put a blue litmus paper in a non-metallic oxide, you will see the change of color in red. That means blue litmus paper converted into red litmus paper. This proves that it is acidic in nature. So just example, take an example of sulfur. When sulfur reacts with oxygen, it forms sulfur dioxide. And when this sulfur dioxide is treated with water, it forms sulfurous acid. So student, what you see here, that when a nonmetal like sulfur react with oxygen forms sulfur dioxide, and when this sulfur dioxide is treated with water, it forms sulfurous acid. Okay, this is acid that can turn the blue litmus blue to red. So, student, today what I have explained you about the corrosion, the rusting, its preventing methods, and the nonmetals when react with oxygen, it forms the non-metallic oxide, which is acidic in nature, that turns the blue litmus paper to red. By giving the example, I am explaining that when the sulfur reacts with oxygen, it forms sulfur dioxide, and when the sulfur dioxide reacts with water, it forms sulfuric acid.